Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us here on Valley News Live at 6. I'm Courtney Arnold. Tonight, we're leading off with new details on a deadly crash in Cass County and the man accused of causing it. I've been going through new court filings, and we're hearing new reaction from the sheriff as he pushes for tougher laws to stop illegal street racing. The Cass County Sheriff is calling for action after an illegal street race ended with the death of a young man. Cass County Sheriff Jesse Jahner is speaking out after a weekend crash that killed Ian Frye, and he's urging lawmakers and the community to help stop organized street racing. Deputies were called to an industrial park west of I-29 and north of County Road 14 after a property owner reported damage and a crowd of about 100 vehicles. When deputies moved in to break it up, several drivers took off. State Patrol troopers later clocked a vehicle allegedly driven by Cornelio Vasquez at more than 109 miles an hour. Investigators say he turned off his headlights, ran a stop sign, and slammed into a vehicle driven by Frye, killing him.
Just a very tragic situation and very angering, frustrating, as I had mentioned a few times in a few different interviews I've done now, because this is what we've been talking about for the last 3 or 4 years and trying to make some legislative changes.
Court records show Vasquez was already out on bond in an open case in Grand Forks County when this crash happened. Prosecutors there charged him in June with reckless endangerment after a deputy says he climbed into the back seat of a moving BMW on I-29 and told a juvenile passenger to switch seats and take the wheel to keep the car from crashing. Vasquez was arrested in Grand Forks with help from local police and U.S. Marshals. Sheriff Jesse Jahner says these racing meets are highly organized with lookouts, fake paper tags, and swapped license plates to beat license plate readers. He wants stiffer penalties for drivers who flee law enforcement, saying it often takes someone losing their life before laws change. Jahner is also worried about minors taking part in these events and is asking parents to step in. The 2 juvenile passengers in that crash have not been named. They are in Vasquez's BMW and were hurt, but were expected to recover.